Welcome to our webinar today, Identity and Access Management in Zoho. One thing I wanted to note is that if you have questions during the presentation, down at the bottom there is a toolbar that has a Q, well actually I guess it's a question mark. If you click on that question mark, you can ask your questions during the presentation. However, at the end of the presentation, I'm going to have a Q&A section that'll address your questions at that time. So from there, we're going to start. Good afternoon. My name is Tracy, and I'm with AspenTech CRM. Today, I want to talk to you about identity and access management, particularly as it relates to the Zoho platform. Now, while the cloud has clear advantages, it also means that a large portion of our sensitive data is now located online. That data requires protection. This is where identity and access management comes into the picture. My name is Tracy Sorrentino. I'm with AspenTech CRM. I am a Zoho certified solutions consultant. I have 5 years experience on Zoho products, and I have about 20 plus years of professional experience in industries that include sales and marketing, healthcare, and education. Now, AspenTech CRM is about to celebrate its 30th anniversary. We were established in 1994 as a consultant business working in the customer relationship management and related solutions space. So about 10 years ago, our focus shifted towards Zoho Enterprise platform. Now we have clients throughout North America in a variety of industries, and we have a team of consultants that includes developers and trainers and support staff, and our headquarters is based in Novi, Michigan. Now here's something to think about. This was something that I found while I was doing some research on here. But some of the top cybersecurity data breaches of 2023 include the MoveIt software hack in May. This is the largest hack of 2023. It affected 60 million individuals. A ransomware gang hacked the servers and stole customer personal data. In September 2023, WordPress websites were compromised with malware that added a malicious script, and it affected more than 17,000 websites. It caused tech support page and push notification scams. In December 2023, the biotech company known as 23andMe confirmed that 6.9 million profiles were accessed by hackers, and the data accessed included, as you would expect, health, genetic, and ancestry information. In November, 43 gigabytes of data containing system backups was stolen from Boeing. It was then published by a ransomware group when Boeing refused to give in to the ransom demands. In January 2023, T-Mobile had its first data breach of the year. It exposed personal information for approximately 37 million customers. The second breach occurred later in 2023, and that actually only affected 900 customers. However, this was after the widely covered data breach of 2022 that cost T-Mobile $350 million in customer payouts alone. So events like this place the burden of responsibility square on the shoulders of businesses to secure their networks. The impacts of the security breach affect staff productivity, your network, your company reputation, and profits. Cybersecurity threats occur at an increasingly alarming rate. For that reason, businesses need to construct an effective network security plan, and that is based on identity and access management. So what is IAM? Other than an acronym that is far easier to say than identity and access management, it's a system that plays a key role in efficiently managing access to data and systems by identifying users and authorizing access to the right people at the right time. IAM systems simplify the roles of administrators by allowing them to efficiently onboard and offboard users, monitor and control the access privileges of every user in the organization, and track access records all from within one place. Identity access management protects user credentials from hackers who intend to steal data. And when we access an application, we often go through a sign-in process. Applications allow users to sign in by entering credentials, and then those applications need to be protected from hackers for password breaches and so on. This is the reason you enable IAM. So why use identity access and access management? Number one is for enhanced security, meaning only authorized devices and users are allowed to access to the organization's data. This provides adding things like strong password policies that make it difficult for hackers to steal login credentials and gain access to your data. Next is improved compliance. Now, for industries that are subject to specific rules and regulations, IAM facilitates compliance and reduces penalties for that non-compliance. This also provides records of user activity and access. IAM streamlines auditing and security practice adherence. Next is increased efficiency and productivity. Administrators gain better administrative control of your systems by allowing for a centralized management. It improves user experience by providing single sign-on access to multiple systems using one login. And finally, reduced costs. Due to data breaches, security incidents disrupt business operations. So enter Zoho solution being Zoho Directory. So Zoho Directory is actually a centralized admin console for easy management of all services within an organization. It provides access to a single sign-on entry to all services using one set of login credentials. It offers robust security policies, which allows administrators to manage password policies. It allows features for unification of user provisioning and access rules, all done from a single entry point. It facilitates device management. Using directory stores allows us to sync our directory data with directories such as Azure and Active Directory and Okta. And it provides us the use of custom roles used to delegate administrative and user privileges based on based on applications within the organization. So for the next 20 or so minutes, I want to share with you a demonstration of the Zoho Directory capabilities. I'm going to do that through a demo environment that we use called Taste and Savor. One thing you need to, well, a couple things you need to think about Zoho Directory is it can be used as a standalone product or with a bundled Zoho product. As a standalone product, it can be used to manage both Zoho standalone and third-party apps from a single dashboard. As part of a bundled subscription, think things like Zoho CRM Plus or Zoho One. It's used to manage consolidated apps within the bundle as well as third-party applications. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate using a Zoho Directory using a Zoho One bundled subscription. Okay, so accessing my Zoho One subscription. Okay, I'm going to use the side panel. And when I hover over the side panel, it opens up and it shows me the different applications that I have integrated and associated with my organization. You can see that I have several Zoho applications associated, but I also have third-party applications associated. Okay, Because I have the third-party applications integrated with my organization, I've set up or enabled a single sign-on to allow access to these third-party apps from my Zoho dashboard using my Zoho login credentials. Okay, so I'm going to show that, show how that works right now by clicking on the Dropbox. It opens Dropbox, takes me to the sign in, and as you can see, it tells me that I'm using single sign in or single sign on, and it drops in my access, my login access directly into the sign on. I click continue, and it automatically opens Dropbox directly from my Zoho One dashboard using my Zoho credentials. Okay, so that is a demonstration of the single sign-on feature in the Zoho directory. I'll go back to my directory, and as an administrator on this Zoho One subscription, I have access to the identity and access management tool called Zoho Directory. What that does is it opens up the app settings for Zoho Directory and opens what sort of looks like a side navigation panel here. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the navigation panel here, looking at each tab, and I'm going to demonstrate for you what are some of the capabilities Zoho Directory has. Number one, okay, we start with the dashboard. This gives us an overview of all of the users and the applications that are associated with my organization. I also have 3 groups that I've established in my organization, and we're going to talk about that. But essentially, this is the information that rolls up from all of the other tabs that are associated in the Zoho directory. I'm going to scroll down on my dashboard so you can look at some of the other information that is added here. You can see that based on my sign-in users, there's a drop down here that lets you change the filter of how we access signed-in users. This is for our last 7 days. In our last 30 days, we get a much different picture. As I scroll down here, you can see that each of these dashboard components can be changed using the filter in the upper right-hand corner. And as I scroll down, we have some more information about our applications. These are the most signed in applications and the most utilized applications. That's the dashboard. We're going to use the side panel navigation. I'm going to go to organization, and this is going to give you information about the organization, Taste and Savor. On the first tab is all of our contact information. On the next tab is our work locations. You can see that Taste and Savor has a home location in Detroit and an office location in Novi. Designations. This is actually custom roles within the Zoho directory, and it's basically used to assign apps to users based on these roles. And we're going to look a little closer at that as we go through to the users and the groups. To add a designation, you have a button here that will allow you to add designations as necessary. For those of you who have a bundled program, like I indicated before, I'm on a Zoho One platform. I have access to Zoho Writer on my platform. This will give you a tab that will document the usage of your writer automation for your organization. Let's go back to the side panel. We'll click on Applications. And the Applications is going to give me a list of applications. This is a list of applications that are associated with my organization. Okay? Each of these apps have an owner associated with it. It has a count of the number of members that have been assigned this application, and it tells me if there are groups associated with the application. Now, based on these applications, you can look at a segment of these applications. Currently, I'm looking at all of my applications. Not all of these applications may be active. I can further look at my active applications, which is a subset of all applications. Then I have inactive applications, also a subset of all applications. And then I have hidden applications. Now, hidden applications, administrators in Zoho Directory have the ability to hide apps that they don't want their users to see. Consider things such as deactivated applications or applications that are old that they still may be in use, but you don't want users to see them and be able to access them. Okay, so those are hidden applications. I'm going to go back to all applications. If you wanted to add an application, you have a button in the upper right-hand corner. You click Add Applications, and it gives you several options here. You can activate Zoho applications that are not currently in use simply by adding them. Let's see, let's add bookings. I click on Add Bookings, and it'll create an account for me. Okay. All right, let's go back there. Okay, account has been created successfully, so bookings has been added. All right. You can also create a custom app by building it in Zoho Creator. If I click Build, it's going to open the Zoho Creator app, and it's going to allow me to build my own application using Zoho Creator simply by clicking on Create a Solution and then creating that app directly from here. If I click back on Directory, I also have access to a Marketplace apps. If I click Browse, it's going to list several applications that are available to me. There are custom applications that other users have created and published, and simply by hovering over them, you can determine whether they are free, which will say install, or if they are paid applications, which you can buy now in the custom apps section. In the directory apps, this includes applications that have been built, and these are directory apps. They do things like manage user access, enable single sign-on, and review app usage. So those are the directory apps you have access to. Again, hovering over them will let you know if you need to buy or if they're all free. These ones here appear to be free. I'm going to go back a screen, and then we have non-directory apps. Non-directory apps, if you wish to add a application, whether it be custom or third-party app, and integrate it with single sign-on, you can do that here. Okay, so that is how we add applications. One other item I want to show you here is manage tabs. Manage tabs, this allows you to group your existing applications together based on tabs. Okay, now the easiest way to describe what this does is not so much to talk about it, but is to show you. Okay, I'm going to go to my CRM homepage, and from my homepage, I have this this icon up in the upper right hand corner. If I hover over it, it's a Z. If I do not hover over it, it's a series of 9 dots, what I call the waffle menu. If you click on that, it takes you to the applications, and you can see your tabs right here. Here's your taste and savor. It supplies all of the tabs, and here's bookings. This is the one I just added. Or you can click on your marketing tab, and this is the marketing tab, and these are the apps that I had on my marketing tab. Okay, so I'm going to close that, go back to my directory. Here's my taste and savor apps that I just showed you, and my marketing tab. So you can manage this directly from here simply by creating a new tab, and then you would have 3 tabs across there. Next, I'm going to go back to the directory side panel. I'm going to click on users. Okay, this is where you can manage your users and their access to applications within the organization. This is what's known as provisioning. Okay, provisioning helps improve the productivity of the administrators by reducing time on repetitive tasks, such as assigning applications to users in a grouped fashion or based on designations. Okay, but here is a list of all of your users. So your users, again, can be segmented out. Okay, if I click on all users, you're going to see that I have several inactive users. This is a demo account. We activate and deactivate users on a regular basis. That's why I have so many inactive users. If I click on and I just look at all active users, I currently only have 4 active users, and then all the rest would be inactive users. There are other segregations here as well. There's pending users. These are users that have been sent a link to join. Confirmed users. These are users that have been sent a link and actually joined the organization. They may or may not be activated. External users. These are users that are not primarily part of your organization. They probably have a different domain and have access to their own organization, but you can add them as external users on your organization so that they can access the data with limited permissions within your organization. Then you have those who have not been invited yet to your organization, but have been added. And then we have others who have not joined yet. They've been added, have been sent an addition or a join link, and they haven't accessed it yet. Okay, now to add a user, using the button in the upper right-hand corner, you click on Add a User. It provides a layout or a form in which you can add the information about your user. There's automatically a checkbox that says Send Notification Mail. When you add a user and you click Add, if this is checked, it's going to send a join link via email directly to this user using the email address, and at that point they can access your organization. I'm going to click on the Manage Fields. Manage Fields, this is basically controls the layout of the form that you would fill in to add a user. It's automatically going to have a name, and an email address. You can add custom fields by clicking on the custom field here. Next, we're going to go back to the navigation side panel, click on Admins. Admins, you can identify users as administrative users, okay? So administrators on an organization can create and manage user profiles directly within Zoho Directory. Now, oftentimes think about a very large organization. Maybe they need backup administrators. Maybe they need administrators to manage specific services within the organization. That's when you'd add administrators to your organization. Okay, you can see I have 3 administrators now. If I click on service admins, that's a little different. Okay, this is based on the services or applications within your organization. You can add administrators to separate services within the organization. As a media system administrator, let's say I don't have really anything to do with Zoho campaigns. I don't know who should be added as a user and who shouldn't be added as a user. So what I've done is I've added Teresa Smith as an administrative user for the campaigns application. And I'm going to let Teresa take care of managing the users, adding and removing users for Zoho campaigns. Okay, so that's what the service administrators are. Okay, you can add from here. You can edit the ones that are here. Obviously, I am the super administrator of the whole organization, so I'm going to be an administrator on most of these. Okay. Next, let's go to groups. Okay, groups are like a custom grouping for lack of a better word, of users that have something in common. Now you can see that I have 3 different groups here. The best practice for using groups is rather than providing access for each user individually, this allows us to enable access to apps as a group of people. Also, I can provide different security policies for these groups. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the HR group here. When I access the HR group, I can edit this group simply by editing the name, adding a description. I can delete the group outright, or I can export members. The nice feature here is if I had a list of several different members, maybe I had 20 different members here, I can export the members, I can create another group, and I can download those members simply, oops, I could do that, or simply by attaching a file right here, and it'll import those members into a new group or into an existing group. Okay? So this is a list of the members that are currently in this group. There are different types of members. There's number 1, it's going to show me all members. Moderators, these are people who can add and remove members within a group. You can see that Tracy Sorrentino is a moderator here. We have members. Members are what they call non-privileged users present in the group. These are just, people who exist in the group, okay, and can have apps assigned to them, be associated with different security policies, have installable apps associated with that. And then we have followers. Now, followers are they're just kind of people who are part of the group that are not real active members, but they may be following some of the resources within that group. I haven't really found a good reason to use followers yet. If you do, please share that with me in the Q&A. Okay, to add members to the group, you can use this plus button right here, or you can use the add members option up in the upper right-hand corner. Some other interesting things you could do in a group setting is that you can conditionally assign applications, okay? So from here, what that means is you can assign apps based on criteria, okay? So number 1, I'm going to click on the assign app. I'm going to select an app. We just added bookings. Let's assign a bookings app. Number 1, you can apply the rule and assign this to all members of the group. Then everybody will get bookings access. Or you can identify users in this group that match a specific criteria. I'm going to show you what that looks like by selecting the matching a certain criteria. I'm going to identify my criteria here. My criteria here, I'm going to select designation. Okay, under designation, if I say is, and then these are the 2 designations that I have, I had associated with the users in my organization. So I can say if the designation is managers for the members in this group, I'm going to assign them a role of either staff, manager, or admin or manager. I'm just going to go ahead and give them manager, and then there are no services. I can say assign. Now what happens is anybody who is a manager in this group, so if either of these people are managers as a designation, they're going to be given the Zoho bookings application. Okay, so that's how you manage your conditional assignment. Next is security policies. Security policies are a preset custom security, a set of security rules for users, okay? So if you assign a default security policy to this group, they're going to adhere to one of these policies. Now, currently, because the HR policy is inactive, they're going to be associated with the default policy. Okay, so what I did is the default policy is the same policy that everybody gets unless they have an HR policy. All right, I'm going to click on the HR policy so you can kind of see what it is we're looking at. The policy info indicates who it's applicable to. In this case, it's a group called HR. You can also exclude people from this policy. In this case, I did exclude myself. And the reason you might want to exclude people from an HR policy is that if you have policies around a location or a country where people they can't access your CRM from Europe, let's say, but then Tracy's going to Europe and is going to need access to the organization. Excluding Tracy here is going to allow her to access it, because we're not going to exclude Europe for Tracy, although we are going to exclude it for the rest of the members in the HR group. Okay. The password policy, this is the main reason for the security policy. This drives your password. This lets you identify your password, whether you want it strong, good, fair, or custom. All right. So if you look along here, I click on strong. It makes my length for the password 14 characters. If I click on fair, it makes it 8, and it takes out automatically special characters and numeric digits. You can also change this to custom, and you can change this all of these settings as you wish. You can also manage the time frame for your password. Okay, make those changes, update the policy, and they take effect for all of the members in the HR group. Next, we have multi-factor authentication. Okay, for multi-factor authentication, you can force users within this group or within the organization to set up a multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. If I click up on setup here, you can enforce a biometric authorization by turning this on, or you can assign passwordless sign-ons using an OTP authenticator, which is another app that manages one-time passwords in order to access your organization. A YubiKey, this may be some type of a fob that has a rotating access password that you would enter into a set of credentials, and then it would allow you access. Your SMS OTP, that's going to be things like sending you text messages with a one-time code. So you can access, or you can enforce this from here. The nice thing about having multi-factor authentication is that if you have it enabled, number one, you have one set of credentials to get into an application. If somebody finds those credentials, they can access that as you. However, with multi-factor authentication, if you enforce this, they're going to either have to have your device to get the one-time password or this YubiKey, or they're going to have your biometric authentication here. All right. So I think it's a really good reason to have it on. Now, that being said, as developers and as Zoho partners, sometimes this hampers us accessing systems for our clients. Okay. You can also manage the lifetime of your multi-factor authentication here, and allow or disallow recovery codes. Allowed IPs. This gives you the ability to restrict IP addresses that users may use to access data. Going back to my example that I talked about earlier, if I went to Europe and maybe I identified Europe by IP addresses that I don't want accessing the data, you could do that. All right. Next is advanced settings. This is where we manage the web session. Okay. How long a web session can be available. I'll close this and I'm going to go back to groups. And I wanted to talk about this installable apps. Okay, installable apps. You can distribute apps directly to a group right from here, simply by clicking on distribute apps. Okay, even though you distributed these apps, you can, so let's say, let's distribute Zoho Assist. Okay, I'm going to distribute Zoho Assist. I can either manually install from the app calendar, so allow any user who wants to install this Zoho Assist, they can install it from the app catalog, or a silent installation is going to allow me to distribute to everybody's computer who's a member in this group. Okay. Next is domains. You will always have one domain which you are associated with that's associated with the organization listed here. However, you can add other domains. If in fact your company or your organization owns more than one domain, you can add that here. You can also enable your domain to host mail directly from here. Security. This basically takes us right back to the security policies that we saw in groups. Okay, it's the same one. Here's your HR policy. Here's your default policy. The default policy that comes with the CRM, similar to the HR policy. However, your excluded users, you can add your excluded users here. I'm going to remove Steve Murphy, and therefore nobody's excluded from this policy. And this is the default policy. This is the password policy that is going to be enabled for all users in the organization. Okay, here's your password policy. You can identify it here. Here's your multi-factor authentication for all users, the allowed IP addresses for all users, and the advanced setting for all users. Okay, you can add a separate policy from right here, and that's how I got the HR policy. Custom authentication is used. This allows users to authenticate themselves using an ID or an identity provider rather than Zoho One credentialing. Now, the reason you might do this is to use one simple, secure login to access all applications associated in the organization. This allows for increased productivity for the users because they don't have to continually add login credentials to access different applications, and it's much easier for administrators to administer. So this is a different type of single sign-on. Next is device management. This gives you the ability to identify devices, and it's a process of verifying the identity of a device to ensure that they can access the data on your organization, in your organization. Okay, so why would you use this? You might use it. Employees can access the applications and devices using one set of secure credentials. Okay, so you can activate devices and enroll them as a corporate enrollment. If you have a bunch of resources or a bunch of, say, computers that you wanted to give to your staff or your users, you can manage that right from here. The nice thing is if you have a bunch of different operating systems, say you have a bunch of different Macs and a bunch of different iOS computers or Windows computers, you can actually access and manage the hardware and the software directly from here. You can also use the BYOD, which is a bring your own device. It's a concept that lets you use an identity that was issued elsewhere and use your own device to access the data from this organization simply by enrolling your device using some of these links. You can generate a link or we can send a link out. Okay, so that's what adding a device and device management is for. Directory stores. This is for businesses using directories to manage user and apps in a third-party directory. It lets you bring that third-party directory like Azure into the Zoho Directory so that you can maintain a single source of truth for all users and applications. Marketplace. This takes you directly back when we were talking about adding applications. It takes you right back to the marketplace where you can add custom apps or directory apps. You can also add a telephony application here or a phone bridge so that you can set up your telephone on your organization's Zoho One organization rather than by application. Back to the side panel where we go to controls. Controls is a fairly new feature. It helps track and enable access to unassigned apps. So it requires users to request access to applications, and then notifications will be sent to either the organization owner or whoever you dictate here to approve that access. Or for those users who want to sign up for a new application, like a standalone application, you can restrict or deny users from creating a standalone application. And finally, from the side panel, we have reporting. From here, this is reporting that's used to attract usage based on users, their logins, applications, and multi-factor authentication. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. And Zoho Directory helps you take charge of your workforce identity on the cloud. The things that it does is it helps automate repetitive tasks by allowing access based on groups and designations rather than individual provisioning. It manages apps and user identities. It secures your data using authentication best practices such as strong passwords and multi-factor authentication. It provides business owners with a holistic view of their workforce, and you can see that all from a central dashboard. And it protects your organization's data, and it maintains your reputation. So as I wrap up today's webinar, I hope you gained a deeper understanding of the critical role of identity and access management and how what it does to secure your digital landscape. We've talked about evolving threats, the complexities of access control, and the benefits of implementing an IAM solution. Now, identity and access management is not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing journey. Your organization and technology evolve. So should your IAM strategy. So some key takeaways to consider is if you prioritize your user experience, you're going to make strong security policies and you're going to make it accessible and user-friendly. If you consider things like a layered approach by combining things like multi-factor authentication, role-based access control, and continuous monitoring, It's going to make your identity and access management more robust. Also, consider seeking professional support. Seek that expert guidance. Don't hesitate to look for that. It's going to help you in the long run. So let's go back to the Q&A and find out if there are any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Ash asks, if a user is part of multiple groups with conflicting policies, what policies would be applicable to the user? Okay, so we're talking security policies, is that correct? Okay, so if it's got multiple groups with conflicting security policies, what policies would be applicable to the user? That's actually a really good question, Ash. You know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that back. Let me look into that. To tell you the truth, I'm not 100% sure. Let me look into it and I will get back with you. Is that okay? Okay, perfect. Thanks, Ash. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how AspenTech can help. AspenTech can help you by designing an IAM structure that's going to grow with your organization. I indicated earlier that technology evolves, and so is your organization going to. We can help build something that's going to be robust enough that it's going to grow with your organization. We can enable custom authentication using an identity provider. We can help you activate directory syncs between Azure or Active Directory. We can also help set up single sign-on solutions for access to all of your apps using one set of credentials. Before I say goodbye, I want to, number one, thank you all very much for joining me today. We hope this webinar has given you the knowledge you need to take a step further in your identity and access management journey. I encourage you to contact AspenTech to schedule a consultation with our experts to discuss any unique needs that you have. You can see on the screen is my name and my email address on the left side. And then we have a telephone number and yet another email address for technical support on the right side. So please feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to help. Also, a copy of this video recording will be sent to you once it's been processed. I'm thinking probably early next week. If there are no other questions, everybody have a nice weekend. It's almost Friday. And again, I'm Tracy Sorrentino with AspenTech CRM. And take care. Have a nice day. Goodbye.